I'm back with the latest results from markets that I've done since the last time I checked in with you. I think the last time I checked in with you, I had completed one market, and the results of that were actually pretty good. The traffic was kind of lower than I had expected, but I did sell over $300. So for a very first market for the season, that wasn't too bad. So since then, and I'm looking over here because this is where my computer is with the results, but since then I've done a market in my neighborhood, and that one didn't have any entry fee, which was fantastic. It was a 2-hour event specifically geared towards Easter. It was the Easter egg hunt in the neighborhood that attaches to my neighborhood. So I went and set up, and my goal there was to sell these personalized peeps that I actually had bought the peeps last year, but I personalized them on site. So I took my cutting machine, my computer, all the vinyl I needed. I have a little mini handheld heat press, and I customized those on site. And then I also had t-shirts there as well that I had made, Easter t-shirts, and I had Easter bedazzle kits too. So that's really what I focused in on, and I didn't bring everything that I normally bring to a show, especially since this one was only 2 hours. So I went and set up, and again, that was a no fee event, and I made $266, and I had 13 peeps, and I sold them all. So I was super excited about that because I'd had these peeps. I had bought 3 cases of the peeps last year at Easter time, and I had sold 1 case last year. So I had about 2 cases or so left, maybe a little bit less than 2 cases left. So I was super happy about that because I sold everything. So I don't have any Easter peeps left. So I will figure out next year if I'm going to do that again, or maybe I don't. I'm not just sure yet. So that was on a Saturday. Then the Sunday, I actually had another event. This one was closer to downtown, in an area which is fairly well to do. It's been undergoing some revitalization over the last, I don't know, 10 plus years probably. Used to be an old mall. They tore the mall down and actually built up this nice, very high-end shopping area. It's outdoor shopping area. And they built some stuff across the street, and they've just built it all up. And then the houses around there are worth quite a bit of money. So it's a more well-to-do area. That particular market, that was on a Sunday. That one goes from 11 to 3, so it's 4 hours. And it did cost last year $100 to get into, but this year they raised the price to $125. So it is fairly expensive. It was definitely slower than it was last year. So that's one thing, but I sold $458. Sounds like a lot, but then you got to consider I had a $125 entry fee on that. So, again, profit of about 300, a little bit over $300. So it was okay, but the crowd definitely was slower. I had an opportunity to talk to some of the other vendors, and I think they felt the same way, that the crowd just wasn't there. So I'm not sure if it was just, Easter time, or there was something going on downtown. The weather was perfect. It was a lovely day, so it wasn't weather related. If anything, it was probably just a little bit chilly because once you got in the shade and there was a little bit of wind blowing. But I mean, it wasn't hot or anything, and it wasn't freezing. So it was a nice day to be outside. But I think a lot of other vendors felt like it was really slow. I'm not going to let that deter me from that particular event, because last year when I did that event, I consistently made $400 to $500, and maybe even a little bit more. So I might go to that event another couple of times this year. Okay, so that was 4/12, 4/13, so April 12th and 13th. Then I had to skip a week because I was actually out of town with my daughter. She plays volleyball, so we had gone to Philadelphia to do volleyball. But then when I came back, I did one of our local farmers markets here, next town over. When I say next town over, it's like 5 minutes, but next town over. And the entry fee for that, so this year I joined that farmers market as a member. So I paid $65 to join, and that makes the entry fee $25. If you're not a member, it's $35. So it's very reasonably priced either way you go. Last year I wasn't a member, so I paid 35 bucks, but totally worth it. So this year, let's see, that was $4.26, so I paid $25. And again, it was slow. I was really surprised at the lack of traffic. So normally it's very well attended. This particular weekend, there was an event going on in the little downtown area, which is adjacent to where the farmers market is. It's literally a street over. So last year I did the same event and there was a lot of overflow, which I was expecting again this year. So last year I made right at $400, and this year I made $313. So it's down, about 75 bucks, if not more, 80 bucks. Which again, I was surprised at because this is a very well attended market. There are a lot of regulars, but there are also lots of folks who are coming to the downtown area to do various things. They have lots of art events, and there's bowling there, there's dance classes, there's all sorts of things to do in this particular town. So there's always new folks coming in, but then we have our regulars as well. So I had that one. I've been focused on Mother's Day. So I took my t-shirt bar. I did sell 4 t-shirts, which I was excited about because I thought, oh, that's great. This is a new offering. And the best part is the organizer of the farmers market set me up so that I was close to electricity. So I didn't have to rent a generator or anything. I just brought my heat press, an extension cord, and I was good to go. So I was really happy about selling those 4 shirts. I sold some of the blind date with a book. People haven't seen these. So there was a lot of excitement because people were like, oh, wow, that's a great idea. I hadn't seen that. It makes a great gift, or it's good for yourself. So I sold a few of those. I'm trying to think what else I sold. Yeah, those are probably the biggest sellers. I did take my jewelry, so I always sell that when I go. But yeah, it was definitely slower than I was expecting. So I normally only do the farmers market. I try to do it about once a month. And this time I decided to do it a couple of weekends in a row, which is very unusual for me. But I have Mother's Day things and I want to sell those if I can. So I did it at the beginning of May, so May 3rd. And again, it was a $25 entry fee. I did take my t-shirts, the t-shirt bar, and I this time did not take the jewelry, but I took the blind date with a book, and I had my Mother's Day glass cups. And then I had like mystery minis and different things like that. So what is very interesting is there was also another event going on downtown, which is a huge event. It's called Meet in the Street, and it also has vendors. And again, usually there's a lot of overflow traffic because we're just a street or so behind the main street where everything's going on. But it was really slow. It was really, really slow, and I was really surprised at how little traffic there was. So for that weekend, I only made $219 total, and then I had to take out my $25. I sold 1 shirt. I'm not even sure. I may have sold 1 book. I sold some glasses, the 16-ounce cups. I have some $1 mystery minis, I'm calling them, earrings and enamel pins that just for whatever reason didn't sell last year, so those I'm putting out as mystery minis. I did sell quite a few of those. I put those in a different place than I normally do. So what I had tried the weekend before was I set them over kind of near where I set up all of my glasses, the 16-ounce cups, and I noticed that people just weren't paying attention, but they were kind of down lower. So this time I raised them up and I put them where I'm taking payment so that they're right there, right? People are standing there and they're like, oh, what are these? Well, let me look at that. And they'll pick one up, right? Just kind of as an impulse buy. And so, but here's the thing. Here's what I want to encourage you. So there's a couple of thoughts I have here. A lot of folks last weekend, because it was not busy, they started to pack up before the market ended. So the market runs from 8 to 12. So they packed up before the market ended, started packing up maybe 12:45ish. I'm hardcore. If I'm there until 12, I'm there until 12. Mostly because a lot of these markets actually require you to stay there, and if you don't, they'll say, oh, you can't come back. Well, I always want to be able to come back, so I stay to the very end. And it really does work out, because the market, not this last market on 5-3, but the one before, I stayed. So that market was from 8 to 2 because of the event that was going on downtown. And again, people had started packing up, but I'm hanging out. And it's a good thing I did, because I sold quite a bit of stuff in those last few minutes. So again, that is exactly what happened to me this past weekend. There were two ladies that had come to my booth earlier, and they had bought, I don't know, maybe $4 or $5 worth of the mystery minis, and they had gone off and done whatever they did, and they came back, and it was like 12 o'clock, and they were like, oh, we came back because we realized that we could give these mystery minis as gifts to, teachers. I assume they work in a school, but we could, share them with the teachers that we need to give gifts for. So they ended up buying like $30 worth of mystery minis. So yeah, it was worth it to stay a little bit longer. So just a hint for you, if you ever decide to do this, stay to the very end. You never know. But what I will say is, again, looking at my spreadsheet here, so I've got an event this coming weekend. Again, I'm going back to that farmer's market. I've got the Mother's Day prints and Mother's Day glasses. So I'm hoping that, people are like, oh, yes, it's Mother's Day, and they're looking for that last minute gift. So I'll be there this weekend again. I'm hoping traffic will pick up. But I am definitely noticing a downturn or a slowdown in the traffic. So from the first market that I did on 4-5 to this last market of 5-3, so that's just a month or so, definitely less traffic. So we will see how it continues to go, and I'll keep you updated. Also too, I put out a notice on my Facebook page this week for my followers, just letting them know where I stand this year. I think with everything that's going on, and tariffs and all of that, and there's some uncertainty in the economy, that I just wanted my customers to understand where I was. So I am planning to do business as usual. I was expecting, once the election was over, I expected some of what's happening currently, and I made a plan to stock up on things. So I've stocked up on paper and laminate and magnets and jewelry findings and things like that, so that I would have stock and I could continue to be able to sell. Now, that's all great. It's great that I have the stuff, and I've paid, pre-tariff money for it. It just remains to be seen if people will have discretionary money to spend. But I wanted my customers to know that for the most part, my prices are going to remain unchanged for this year. I'm continuing to do business as usual, or I will do business as usual. The couple of things that will change this year for me are that I'm not going to have as many new products that I can test out and try out, because I do source a lot of my products from overseas, from China and other places. And so with tariffs being 145% right now, I really can't take the chance of trying something new and not being assured that it's going to be an absolute hit. I do have some new things that I bought, again, pre-tariff, that I will bring out, but unless they are super super hot sellers, I'm not going to be able to replace those as I would have been before. Of course, that's all subject to change. If the tariffs, positive or negative, if that situation changes, then my business model will change as well. But I wanted to let my customers know that. And then the other thing is t-shirts. I did stock up on t-shirts in a limited quantity though, and especially because I knew I was going to do the t-shirt bar. But I did stock up on those in a limited quantity. Those I did raise prices on. I don't expect to have to raise prices again, but I went ahead and did it at the beginning of this market year, knowing that as I sell shirts, I'll have to replace that stock and it will be at a higher cost because my shirts come out of El Salvador and Vietnam and some other places, not necessarily China, but some other places that produce textile, India, overseas. But, and that price hike wasn't too bad. I was selling t-shirts for $15 and I went to 20, and that should cover everything. And then I actually have my DTFs that I press produced here locally. And so that costs a little bit more expensive than ordering it online, but I do that because then I can just run down and pick them up, and I'm helping another local business. So I feel confident in that decision, and I will continue to support that business as well for as long as I can. So those are my couple of things that I did, and I let my customers know what was going on. I don't know how the rest of the market season will go. I just laid out, and again, I'm looking over here. This is where my spreadsheet is, where I've got everything laid out that I'm going to do. I have everything laid out for the rest of the year, with the exception of maybe one or two markets towards the end of the year. But and when I say the end of the year, specifically October and November. So there's one or two weekends in there I don't have something scheduled. But we'll see. We'll see how the economy plays out. We'll see how the tariffs play out. We'll see how folks continue to spend. My next market, other than this one coming up at the farmer's market, is in another town as well. I keep pointing like you know which direction I'm pointing, but it's in another town adjacent to where I live, and the area that it's in, again, is a more affluent area, so folks over there have a little more discretionary income. So we'll see how that goes. Usually when I go over to that area of town, I do pretty well. So I'm interested to see if that's the case. That particular market, though, was $165 to get in. So if I don't do so well, I probably won't do another one because that's a pretty hefty price to pay, and it's just a one-day market. And I want to say it's from like 11 to 4, so it's only 5 hours. So that's a pretty hefty price to pay. And I'm not 100% sure. I need to contact the market organizers to see if I can bring my heat press or not. So we'll see. But anyway, I wanted to keep you up to date on my results and what I'm seeing, and let you know where I've been, what I've been doing. Keep up with me and make sure you subscribe and like. And if you have any questions or anything else you'd like to know from me, if there's anything I can answer, just let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much.